Welcome back. You're watching Closing Bell on Moneycontrol with me, Nandita, Khemka.
And I'm Yatin, Mota.
Well, Yatin, it has been a week of records, right, for the Nifty, but today we did hit a fresh high of 22,297, but, we came off quite a bit, ended above that 22,200 mark, but, if you look at today's chart, you'll see how volatile it has really been for the market, even though the volatility index, India VIX index has cooled off by 2% or thereabouts, but, the day particularly was marred by volatility. If you look at, the mid-cap and small cap end of the markets, both these indices were once again outperforming the benchmarks, and the breadth was also firmly in favor of gainers as well. Sectorally, what did well was autos, realty, pharma. These were among the top sectoral gainers. On the flip side, the feeble recovery that we saw in the banking index earlier in the week, that has completely fizzled out, right? We had a report by Goldman Sachs as well on banks, and reacting to that, we saw banks continuing to be under selling pressure like it was yesterday as well. Even the PSU bank index, I think that index lost in excess of 1% or thereabouts. IT, we saw good buying come in yesterday, but that also fizzled out. It was pretty much flat in today's session towards in the negative zone rather. FMCG was another pocket that was in the negative zone. Point to note is the fact that Reliance Industries hit a fresh high today. Even Jio Financial hit a fresh high. The market cap, most importantly, hit that 2 lakh crore rupee mark, Yatin. Aside of that, Yatin, if you look at the individual movers on the Nifty, Bajaj Finserv, SBI Life, Dr. Reddy's, Titan, HDFC Life, so life insurers were among the gainers today, and even some of the auto names were on the gaining end. On the losing end, HCL Tech, that was the top gainer yesterday. Today it was the top Nifty loser. BPCL continues to face selling pressure, and so does Asian Paints. And aside of that, Maruti also, on the back of a report by Macquarie, hit a fresh high earlier in the day, but fizzled out and ended the day in the red, and so did SBI. But Yatin, broad end of the markets, quite a few movers there today as well.
A lot of movers, and starting with Usha Martin, that stock moved 10%. India Bull Housing Finance, and if you remember, they've concluded the rights issue recently, and today the partly paid up shares also got listed. Post with the partly paid up shares surged 20%, and India Bull Housing Finance, those shares surged nearly 10% in trade. Adani Wilmar, Idea, on the back of a fundraise, both of these stocks moved 7-8% each. Yes Bank, after the downgrade by Goldman Sachs, that stock was down 4%. Ratnamani Metals, Team Lease, Electra, all of these stocks witnessing some bit of profit taking in trade today. But yes, both Indus Towers as well as Idea Cellular, meaning Vodafone Idea, hit fresh 52-week highs after Idea has a board meeting on 27th of Feb to consider options for fundraising.
Well, of course, those two stocks were buzzing, and how even yesterday Vodafone Idea was up somewhere around 6% or thereabouts. We'll be talking about that in details in a bit. But let's talk about the stocks that are on our radar this afternoon. Maruti, as I was mentioning, hit a fresh high of 11,720 earlier in the day. But, the stock really fizzled out after that and ended the day in the negative zone. There are conflicting reports on, Maruti. The street view is pretty much divided because, recently we had a report from Citi where they had placed the stock in a 90-day positive catalyst and said that in the near term, the automaker stock could see outperformance with pickup in monthly volumes as well as, good numbers in the fourth quarter. So, these are some of the positive catalysts that Citi sees for Maruti. But today, we had a report on Maruti by Macquarie, and they have a neutral rating with a target price of 10,600, which implies a 9% downside from current levels. In fact, Macquarie believes that the company will lose further market share in small car space within the range of 4 to 7 lakh rupees. In fact, if you look at the market share in this particular segment, it's come down from 67% in FY21 to 58% in FY24. And even in the December quarter, it has lost some bit of market share in the small car segment. The reasons behind this, Macquarie has listed the reason behind this. They've said that the demand for small cars is likely to remain tepid in the near term, given the fact that there has been product price hikes which have dented affordability over the years, and also the rising consumer preference for SUVs, wider model optionality and micro SUVs that have come up that could dent market share for these small cars, and of course the fact that there's intense competition in this segment as well, right? So micro SUVs pose a big risk to the small car segment where Maruti is concerned, but they've also noted that distribution and fuel efficiency are some of the advantages that Maruti really enjoys, and they are also factoring in a 60 to 70 basis point kind of margin improvement on a quarter-on-quarter basis for Maruti in the fourth quarter. And valuation wise, they've mentioned that at 24.5 times FY26 PE, it is in line with long-term averages. But their top picks really are Tata Motors and TVS Motor at the current juncture, Yatin.
Absolutely, and in the auto space, we have seen Tata Motors and Maruti go neck and neck in terms of market capitalization and strong returns for investors. But today the entire focus was on the banking shares because Goldman Sachs has been cutting the target prices, as well as thinking that from here on there could be a serious challenge in terms of profitability for the banking space. Obviously, if you look at Goldman Sachs, they believe that the Goldilocks period, or the best of the earnings momentum, is behind us. From here on, there will be challenges for bank in terms of how to really ramp up return on assets, how to tackle the wage inflation, because a lot of these PSU banks have hiked wages for their employees. Additionally, if you look at the downgrade by SBI, by Goldman for SBI and Yes Bank, that also put pressure on both of these stocks. Now, SBI, they have a neutral rating with a target of 741 post the downgrade, which implies a probable 2% downside from the current market price. Yes Bank, they are looking at more than 30% downside. Their target on Yes Bank is 16 rupees versus the market price of 26 rupees. When it comes to ICICI Bank, they have a target of 1086, a marginal upside from the current market price. However, their target on HDFC is 1915, which means a 33% kind of a upside from the current levels. Now, SBI, they have cut the earnings estimate by 7%. They have cut the earnings estimate for Yes Bank for FY25 by 43% because they believe that Yes Bank is not in a position to really ramp up their deposits or probably have that advantage on NIMs anymore. And obviously, the market is already run up to price in higher earnings than the current valuation. So, SBI and Yes Bank, these are the two stocks wherein Goldman Sachs believes that there could be some good downside.
Right, Yatin, midweek we saw a good recovery coming in the Nifty bank index, and the street was hopeful that here on we'll see some recovery in private banks. But ever since Wednesday, I think, that recovery has fizzled out, and yesterday also the Nifty bank index was under pressure, and today as well the selling pressure has continued. But, moving on from banks, talking about Vodafone Idea as well as Indus Towers, these two stocks, of course, were, rallying, and how in today's session, in fact, Indus Towers also rallied somewhere around 8%, and Vodafone rose nearly 10% at one point of time today. Of course, it's on the back of the fundraising proposal that will be taken up on the 27th of February. Of course, the company will be mulling fundraise via rights issue or a follow-on public offer or private placement, QIP, or even bonds or EDR, right? So these are some of the ways they could raise funds. Yesterday, at the launch of Birla Opus, chairman of Aditya Birla Group, KM Birla, had already indicated that there is no plan. He had reiterated, rather, so to say, that there are no plans to exit the telecom business, and they'll continue to look for new investors. And street took heart to that, and yesterday we saw a 6% rally on the stock. But if you look at Vodafone Idea, if you look at the third quarter performance, the third quarter losses had narrowed, and ARPU that was of course due to a one-time gain. ARPUs had also come in at 145 rupees. But if you look at the subscriber additions, there have been losses on that front, and Bharti and Jio have been gaining, and Vodafone has been losing. In fact, it lost somewhere around 13.68 lakh subscribers in December 2023. That was about subscriber loss, but also when it comes to 5G rollout, Vodafone Idea has been a little late to the party. In fact, it is yet to roll out, and it's in anticipation of the fundraise that the stock rallied, because that could also give wings to the 5G rollout plans of Vodafone Idea. So and aside of that, aside of the 5G rollout, Indus Towers rallied because Vodafone Idea was not paying Indus Towers on time, which was leading to receivables at one point going up to somewhere around 5,500 crore rupees according to BofA Securities. But over the last 6 to 9 months, they have been paying on time because there have been some improvement in cash flows. But with the fundraise, the further retiring of debt will take place, and Indus Towers stands to gain from that, which is why Indus Towers also rallied in today's session. So of course, a lot depends on the fundraise, because it will improve the company's cash flows, due to which it will also be able to retire debt in terms of AGR dues and spectrum dues as well. So lots are riding on this particular fundraise that the street will be really watching out for.
Yeah, but I think yesterday Kumar Mangalam Birla in the sidelines of the paints business launch spoke about as of now there is no particular investor in which they have been able to finalize the fundraise. But yes, they are hopeful that the fundraising will be done shortly, and they are fully committed to the telecom business. But you know, the latest statement from the Vodafone Idea promoters, which is the Birla Group, one of the promoters, they have said that still things are not yet finalized. Let's hope by 27th they should be able to announce some material fundraise which could probably help the company improve the balance sheet and obviously clear some dues for Indus Towers as well.
Well then, those were on all the stocks on our radar this afternoon. But with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. Of course, you know, a volatile week, but a good one at that, given the fact that we've ended the week on a positive note, with Nifty gaining somewhere around 0.7% or thereabouts. Let's see whether, you know, volatility reigns supreme next week as well, or whether we see more you know, gains coming in for the market. But of course, with that, Yatin and me signing off for the week. You guys have a great weekend and come back and join us on Monday morning with the markets. Thanks a lot for watching.